Okay. What on earth? What on earth just happened? I literally was just about to go to sleep. Then I get a bunch of text notifications blowing my phone up from friends, and I see something that I don't think most of us even thought was real. So, from what I've seen, the Dallas Mavericks, Utah Jazz, and LA Lakers participated in a massive three-team deal, essentially sending Anthony Davis over to the Mavericks and Luka Doncic over to the Lakers. Now, there are more pieces included in this. Obviously, the Lakers also get Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris, and the Mavericks get Max Christie and a 2029 first round pick from the Lakers, while the Jazz get Jalen Hood-Schifino, 2025 second round pick via the Clippers, and a 2025 second round pick from the Mavericks. Yeah. I don't really have like a comprehensive, organized idea in opinion on this just yet. I'm still trying to digest this all, but what I can say is this is probably the craziest trade that I've witnessed, and I've seen some crazy ones happen. Like I remember when the Thunder sent Paul George over to the Clippers. That was a really random trade, and that paired him alongside with Kawhi Leonard. Then you also think about when James Harden was dealt over to the Brooklyn Nets. That was another really insane trade that kind of happened out of nowhere. There were some rumblings in there, but it didn't seem like it was actually going to happen, and it did. Then there was also Damian Lillard going to join the Bucks. That was another insane trade that happened really about a year and a half ago or something like that. But what makes this one so crazy is there was no indication at all that this move was going to happen. Zero indication, especially on the side for the Mavericks. That's what makes it so weird to me. It really gives it this obscurity because we knew Luka was hurt, right? And obviously we knew that Luka had some of his conditioning issues and his defensive issues, especially in the finals. But I didn't think a Luka Doncic trade was on the horizon. I like it. It seemed like, and even see, like he is their franchise guy. Simple as that. He's their lottery pick. He's this guy that has put up these ridiculous individual performances for them. This is the Luka Doncic era. And they still are relatively early in the Luka Doncic era. And now you're moving him away. I've never seen, and you guys can let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, because again, I just woke up and I'm just reacting to this. But have we seen a team just move from their franchise guy this early and this randomly in the process? I just don't think so. They just got to the finals. I'm thinking this Kyrie and Luka backcourt is going to be something to really bet on for these next few years. And then this happens. And again, I understand that there were issues with Luka defensively. I understand there are some issues with him from a conditioning standpoint. But I didn't think that a trade was on the horizon. And I saw something where Nico Harrison was talking about the trade right after it happened. And a lot of it was about Luka's lack of defense, right? And this belief that defense wins championships. So you look at this happen and you're like, there had to be some issue with Luka and Mavericks top brass, because there's no way you're moving this quickly off of your franchise guy. Like Luka is the LeBron James of the Mavericks franchise right now, right? Like he's that great of a player. He is someone that you want to build around. That's who he is. He is one of the like premier franchise players in all of sports. When we're talking about like athletes that you would want to build your team around for the future, you have guys like Pat Mahomes, you have guys like Victor Wembanyama. Luka's right in that conversation, right? And so for them to move from him so early in this process, it's insane, especially after just them having their best season by getting to the NBA Finals last year and losing to the Mavericks or losing to the Celtics. But still, right, I didn't think they were going to move away from him this quickly. It's crazy, man. That's my first thought is what happened to trigger this. So random, something that I just didn't see coming at all. And there was no chatter about this. Maybe I may have missed it. I'm not sure. But just unreal stuff. Now we talk about him and LeBron James being on the same team, right? And what does that look like? And I actually do think there's a lot of upside for those two guys. Offensively, LeBron is still doing some amazing things. He's coming off of a 40-point effort here in New York, and you're pairing LeBron James alongside with an elite level shot creator in Luka Doncic, who is also a ridiculous passer and playmaker. So here we have this thing where you have two players who are so similar to one another, right? They do it in different looking ways, but essentially these are two elite scoring threats who are dangerous as passers and playmakers, and are just as dangerous as passers and playmakers as they are being scorers. And to see them on the same team together, we've never seen LeBron James on a team with the guy who has like a skill set so similar to him. Maybe you're pairing him with a Kyrie who's a scoring specialist at the point guard position, or D Wade who's a really good scoring option at the two, who does have some solid complementary playmaking experience, but nothing like this where you have two alpha playmakers on the same team. We've never seen this. We've never seen LeBron James on a team with a player so similar to him. That's what's going to make this thing so unique. And I don't even know what's going to happen from here. Like, what does this even spell out for LeBron, right? Like, is he going to be a Laker by the time the deadline is up? I don't even know. But from what we're seeing now, we can only react to this idea and the reality of a LeBron and Luka duo. And I'm excited to see what it ends up offering. I think offensively it's going to be fun. I do worry about the defense. Anthony Davis is your premier defensive player. You did get back Maxi Kleber, but he can have his moments where he's not as effective as you'd want him to be. And already collectively right now, this Lakers team is not great from a defensive perspective. And you gave up your best defensive guy, and you get a guy who's been known to struggle from a defensive perspective in Luka Doncic, who was kind of a traffic cone on the defensive end last year in the NBA Finals, right? I'm not saying Luka is straight up a bad defender, and maybe him being here with LeBron, where I guess more pressure is taken off of him offensively, and the Lakers run a bit of a different system that isn't as ISO heavy. This allows Luka to focus a bit more on the defensive end, but still, right? Like, that's still going to be something to keep an eye on here. Lakers struggled massively from a defensive standpoint. What does this do for them on that end of the floor? There's like two different schools of thought. The Mavericks make this move to get better defensively, and the Lakers make this move to be more dynamic offensively. That's all this is, at least immediately, right? So there's that as well. But what this also does do for the Lakers is this. You secured your future post LeBron James. Because this Luka defensive stuff, it's only going to be a massive point of contention for like another season or two, right? Like, this is something that early on in your career you struggle with. You're not known as being this great defensive guy, and you end up picking it up at some particular point in time, right? Luka's future is still that of a potential top 5 player of all time. Simple as that. You can say what you want about his defense and all of those things, but he still has this future GOAT level potential. We haven't seen a lot of players offensively quite like Luka, and we're seeing what his output is. We're seeing what his production is. Luka Doncic is still Luka Doncic. I'm not going to let the conversation and discourse about his defense make us forget about what type of player he is. He's still a franchise guy. So if we feel like this is the end of LeBron James era, which essentially it is, right? We're getting there, whether we want to like it or not. There is no better guy to start your like next chapter with than Luka. Is there a better way to secure your franchise's future than this? It's really, really unbelievable. It's immediately may not be the best move if you're worried about the defense and the X's and O's stuff right now, but from a future standpoint, Luka's going to get better defensively. That's going to be something he's going to fix as he gets older. He's still Luka Doncic. And so now you have a top 5 guy all set and ready for your future post LeBron James if things end up lining up the way they should. There's a checkmate there for the Lakers. Is we were worried a bit about what the future looked like post LeBron James. Is Anthony Davis a guy you want to build a franchise around in the future? And you end up turning around and getting Luka, who everybody would 100% build a franchise around. And this is, I'm not going to use the injury Luka thing right now, because this is the first time in the first season where I've looked at Luka and like have seen him be massively limited by injury. So if you want to talk about injuries, The injury bug isn't a thing that's consistently hit Luka. Luka's generally been a pretty available guy through the course of his career. There may have been some hiccups here and there, but he's got memorable playoff moments already. He's not chronically hurt. This is the first time we've seen Luka injured in this high of a volume, right? Where he's missing this many games. Like, so I'm not going to do this thing where I'm skeptical about his future as a star because of injury stuff, just because of this season, because that's not like a recurring thing for him throughout the course of his career. So there's that, man. Like, immediately you may have issues with the defense, but this does so much for you as far as the future of your franchise. For the Mavericks, man, again, interesting move here. Anthony Davis is still very effective, still playing at a high level, still an elite level defensive player. What does a Kyrie and AD duo do? I think they do some interesting things in the playoffs. This puts a lot more pressure on Anthony Davis as a consistent offensive performer. He's going to have to close games here for the Mavericks come playoff time, once that time does roll around. So can he continue to do that at a very high volume? He's got to be their best player, like I love Kyrie, but Anthony Davis is playing a massive role here on the offensive end, a little bit of a bigger role on the offensive end than he did with the Lakers. It's a new offensive system as well, different than what JJ Redick is running. So, I like the idea of a Kyrie and Anthony Davis duo if AD can stay consistently on the offensive end, which he has been doing this season. It has generally been a good season for Anthony Davis. He's a much better defender, obviously, than what Luka was giving you. And there's that. I do think there's upside for a Mavericks, Kyrie, and AD duo. I really do. But still, man, it's this is such a 180. I'm still trying to grasp all of this. Doesn't really make sense. But I don't think the Mavericks walked away sad about this trade either. If they really wanted to depart from Luka, getting a guy like Anthony Davis, who's still a elite level player, an all-star guy, a borderline superstar to pair alongside with another elite all-star guy in Kyrie, you did fine, especially if he's still giving you some amazing defensive stuff this particular season. Again, I'm just as confused, and I'm still confused about this move. Still waiting to get like all of my opinions and analysis on this right. But those are just like my raw thoughts right off the wake up. I literally just woke up and had to say something about this move. It's one of the craziest blockbuster trades we've ever witnessed in the history of sports. It really is. Again, we have this team just moving from their franchise guy relatively early in the process, after they made their first finals appearance under him. Unreal stuff. Unreal stuff. So we'll see how this thing ends up shaping up. We'll see what other people are saying. I'll definitely be back with another video to kind of talk about my thoughts once they're a little bit more organized and fleshed out, and once I'm a bit more awake. But this one, this is up there. This is up there as one of the most insane trades we've ever seen. And it's going to be very interesting to see for both parties here, for the Mavericks and the Lakers, as they're both looking to contend and stay on the contention type of path this season. But yeah, I again, speechless about this one, and we'll see how this one ends up playing out in the long term.